So, dating in the Philippines versus America. I'm going to talk about the differences and the similarities, I guess you can say, between the two cultures. Some of them are very different and some of them are actually pretty similar. You'd be surprised, and there's some things you can learn from the Philippines that Americans can adopt that are pretty cool. So I'm going to talk about 10 different things. So just disclaimer, these are all from my personal experience. Not everyone is related to this, so take that into account. So number one is physical affection. So in the Philippines, affection, physical affection, it's a lot different than the States when it comes to dating. A lot of it has to do with very subtle gestures. For example, when I was growing up in high school, I'd walk around campus and I'd see people making out, grabbing stuff and all that kind of good, crazy things, whatever you want to call it. And people are very open and they're very excited to share outwardly, their emotions and physical relations. For example, in the Philippines, when you're dating a girl, you don't really go around and you sit at the bus stop and you start making out with her right there. It's actually very subtle. Even, hugging and holding hands. Yeah, a lot of people do it in the Philippines, but it's a lot less, like when you're affectionate and you want to show your love to somebody. It's a lot more subtle and it's a lot more, private, I guess you could say. Also in the Filipino culture, typically if somebody is like holding hands or kissing or saying something romantic to each other, it automatically means, or it's presumed to be, that you are in a relationship, a committed relationship with that person. In the US, it's not uncommon to see open affection. It's not a big deal. You can kiss a girl, you can play truth or dare or whatever in public. It's happened before, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in a committed relationship with that person or with that girl or whatever. So it's not like, automatically it's exclusive at that moment. It could be way different. Number two is communication. In the Philippines, gestures are important and they're key. Communication through nonverbal acts and expression through body language is pretty big in the Philippines. Girls want you to show them that you like them or you care about them in ways that sometimes Americans don't understand. In the US, they're very open and they speak their mind. It's very upfront and very forward. Another thing is, if a Filipino girl likes someone, a lot of times, like they have a big crush on someone, they're not gonna go out of their way to tell them or to take action for the girl or for the guy that she likes. It's up to the guy to make the move, and it's up to the guy to tell her that, hey, I like you. In America, it can go any way. If a girl wants to, she'll go after the guy. In the Philippines, a lot of girls, they love to receive like little gifts, love notes. There's something called the kilig factor, I guess you can say, and it's where, I guess you can say in America, it's where you have butterflies in your stomach, but I feel like it's a lot more special and a lot more attention and is brought to that in the Philippines. Number three is family involvement. Before I dated my wife, I needed to actually call up her dad and her family and ask for permission to do that. It's very traditional, and I guess it's a way of expressing, I want to be a part of your daughter's life in this way, and I want to be able to, date her. And so a lot of people may be like, whoa, that's kind of extreme. But the family is very involved in the Filipino culture, especially when it comes to dating. When I was growing up, I wouldn't tell my parents who I was dating or what girls I was hanging out with or talking to. I guess in some way it kind of felt a little awkward to, or maybe I just felt like I didn't need to. It's kind of, personal life, it's casual, whatever. I'll see you again tomorrow, maybe I won't. But in the Philippines, it's all about involving your family, getting them in on the same page and letting them know how you feel. And so it's kind of a cool connection that you can have with your family and how they can support you and how things can be safe, fun, and nice when you're dating in the Philippines. In America, it's not as common. You may never even meet the parents at all, especially if you're not dating them for a long time. And that's just kind of the way things are. It could be a good thing, but I don't know. Number four is etiquette, dating etiquette. So when it comes to traditional dating, back in the old days here in America, a lot of people were very, I think a lot has changed, and a lot of people were very traditional. That still stands really true in the Philippines. For example, you want to always open the door for the girl. You want to make sure to bring her flowers, things that are very sentimental. They love. You want to, when you go out to eat or you go on a date, make sure to wear something nice. Maybe not wear slippers or sandals, whatever you call it, but wear something that maybe like a button-up shirt. Make sure you do your hair. Good hygiene is really important. For example, like a guy is expected to plan a traditional date, expected to kind of figure out what's gonna happen on that date, pick up the girl, provide transportation, all those things, pay for the date, of course. But in America, like you have the girl and the guy, and a lot of times it's just a casual thing. You don't really have to plan a lot of stuff. I mean, I used to go on the Metro Rail, go on a date, some random place in the park, meet up somewhere on bikes. It's very nonchalant, kind of casual, just getting to know each other. And it's not as dramatic or emotional, which is pretty cool. It's pretty nice, but it's also kind of cool that the Filipinos put so much emphasis on making it very special, even from the beginning. So number 5 is dating expectations. So in the Philippines, a lot of times what I've experienced is that people date in terms of long term. When you meet someone, you want to get to know them and you really want to give them your all. You're going there with a long-term perspective. Maybe I might be marrying this person someday. Eventually that will lead to having kids. How can I see myself living with this person and committing my lifestyle to them? And it's very kind of a exclusive experience when you're with them. And it can be very special and intimate in its own unique way. In America, it's kind of different. I remember growing up, and sometimes I go on a couple dates a week, maybe more. It's kind of getting to know people and very casual, just kind of learning about who they are, their lifestyle, and I just wanted to have fun, really. It would be about, trying to meet as many people as I could so I can understand who or what this whole experience of dating was all about. And so they're kind of like two different sides of the spectrum. Not everyone's like that in the Philippines, but that's kind of typically, it's more traditional and it's a little bit more intimate in that sense. Number 6 is punctuality, showing up on time for a date. So in the Philippines, I don't know if you've heard this expression, maybe you have, of course. It's called Filipino time. It's not in a sense where you show up late because you want to be rude or you're lazy. No, it's not really like that. It's more of sometimes on a date, you're not going to show up on time because you don't want to be too early, because it might seem like you're too eager, too desperate. And so you want to show up just a little bit late because you don't want to be there perfectly on time, but you don't want to show up too late because then that might be rude. So punctuality is kind of like a little bit more laid back in the Philippines. In America, it's actually, okay, if you show up a little bit late on the date, it's considered rude, You have to let them know ahead of time, tell them the plans, maybe, there's traffic or whatever, and sometimes it can make the date go south. So it's important to understand that it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just how they do it there. And number 7 is group dating. So group dating is kind of a great opportunity to get to know somebody, especially in the Philippines. There's a lot of group dating because there's no real pressure, the one-on-one pressure, especially when you're dating someone from the beginning and you want to get to know them. It's kind of, you go out with friends and you have some fun in the beginning, and it lets off the pressure and also gives you kind of like, for a girl in their mind, they might feel more comfortable and more safe when they're there with other friends. And so it's a good thing. In America, a lot of times it's more one-on-one, usually in the beginning. They go right into it. It's actually really fun to go on group dates. Unless there's like another guy there trying to steal your girl while on the date, or it can get a little awkward. But for the most part, it's actually a ton of fun. It just leaves any pressure or stress or worry about anything. And then when the moment's right, then you can start going on personal one-on-one dates. So number 8 is cultural diversity in dating. In the Philippines, a lot of people are Filipino. Yeah, when you go out to date someone, you're pretty much usually always dating another Filipino. And what happens with that is you're able to relate to the culture instantly. You have a lot in common, and you're able to connect on a real easy level. And the expectations and the standards are pretty similar. Another thing with that is the language barrier. There's not really much of a language barrier because you guys will both speak the same language. In America, I grew up in a place in Los Angeles, it's very culturally diverse, and so you date people, even though like a lot of times they're kind of Americanized, but they're from all different nationalities and races, and you get to know and you get to learn about all these different cultures and people from all over the world. But sometimes it could be kind of a struggle to kind of understand them and relate to them. But at the end of the day, it's kind of cool because you learn so much and you gain so much that will help you understand the world more. And so you just add to your understanding of life. And it's really fun learning how to cook new foods, learning new culture, singing, and traditions, whatever it may be. And number 9 is religious views. So in the Philippines, the most of the country is Catholic. And so a lot of the traditions and religious customs have been passed down from generations. And a lot of that leaks into the dating scene. For example, moral standards and what you expect to do, not having sex before marriage, being very modest with the clothes you wear, stuff like that, and being very conservative. You can definitely see it a lot in the culture there. And maybe that's a great thing because you're able to see the person really for who they are without having to have something so physical in the beginning or whatever, or trying to get in so quick with not really knowing who they are. And you also meet really good people who have high standards in life. And you can relate to that with other people who have high standards in life. So in your relationship, you have a good moral compass because the culture is built on the foundations of, religious beliefs and traditions and customs. In America, it's not as religiously based. Of course, it was a long time ago, but I'd say they're very free, very open to experimentation. And if you feel it, then you do it. There's lots of opportunities for whatever you want to do. People can get pretty freaky, if you ask me. But it's just part of the experience and just way different culture and the way of looking at things. But I kind of like the idea of how the Filipinos are very conservative and they have a very good moral compass, and they do things, their judgments and their decisions are really well versed in living at a higher standard. So it's kind of cool. So number 10 is things are always changing. In the Philippines, even the last decade, there's been a lot of westernization, I guess you can say, and so a lot of other cultures are coming in and people are being influenced a lot more than they were in the past. And so those traditional customs and the way of doing things when it comes to dating, from the previous generations are kind of slowly fading away. And this could be a bad thing, and it also could be an okay thing or a good thing, depending on the way you look at it. As more and more people are exposed to the Philippines and people are moving out of the Philippines to see places around the world, they're also adapting little parts of the culture from all over the world. For example, a Filipino American may have a completely different mindset when it comes to dating than a traditional Filipino. So it's always changing and all over the place. In America, of course, it's open. Pretty much you can date your dog if you want, and I guess it's okay. But just some last thoughts. It's pretty cool looking at and seeing how my life dating a Filipina has changed, I guess you can say, and my standards have actually gone up a lot, which is kind of cool because before I'd be kind of like, oh yeah, I don't really care about a lot of stuff, whatever. But I feel like it has helped me a lot to become a better person. So that's something that you should think about, how you can adopt some of these things from the Filipino traditions and customs. And there's actually a lot of countries from all over the world, even Latin America, that have similar values and traditions as the Philippines as well. But I'm pretty sure deep down inside, every girl out there has a really soft spot inside them that they want to be treated like a queen, even if they don't really show it. Especially in America, everyone wants to be independent. But if you can bring that out of somebody in a modern way, then you really have something awesome. So I hope you agree with at least some of these. I mean, that'd be pretty cool, but we'll see.
Hey guys, I agree with some of the things he said. Just kidding, all of it. Make sure you subscribe.
Peace out.